morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's Miss Sheila with another story hour. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what a bully is? Have you ever been bullied? Are you or have you ever bullied anyone? Well, the definition of a bully is someone who uses his or her strength or power to harm or intimidate those who are weaker or smaller than them. They can do it through fighting or hitting, saying ugly, mean words, by purposely leaving others out of playtime, ignoring them when they're in public, and they do it repeatedly. They do it over and over and over again to make people afraid and to feel bad. But you know what? Even adults can be bullies. But whether it's a child or an adult, it doesn't make it right. And God is not pleased. Today's story is about loving bullies, loving your enemies. And here we go. Rocco and Butch were the worst bullies in school. Every day they wandered the halls and everybody tried to stay out of their way. Sometimes they beat up the boys, but more often they pulled the little girl's hair or they teased them until they cried. Nobody knew what to do about Rocco or Butch, so everybody just learned to stay away from them. But if they did catch you, you should always cry right away because this made them happy and they would go to the next person to bully. Well, one day, a new girl started school in the 5th grade. Her name was Holly, and the rumor had it that she was the new pastor's daughter of the new Church of Christ Holiness Church in town, and this was a big church. Cindy and Holly became friends right away, and Cindy knew she had to warn Holly about the bullies pretty fast, but it was too late. As Cindy turned the corner in the halls to her locker, she saw Rocco and Butch beginning to bully Holly. They were teasing her. But you know what? Holly didn't cry. Holly was laughing. But inside, Cindy was saying, "Cry, Holly, cry," hoping that Holly would get the message. But Holly didn't get the message. The bell rang, and soon the halls were filled with kids, and everyone was running out to the bus or to get picked up by their parents in the pickup line. So Cindy didn't get a chance to find out what had happened. But the next day, she ran up to Holly as soon as she saw her. And Cindy said, "Holly, they are really mean bullies, so please be careful." Holly just smiled, her big happy smile, and she said, "Okay, Cindy, but don't worry." Rocco saw Holly at her locker before Butch did. "Hey, Butch, there's that new girl," he said. "But something is different about her," Butch said. But they walked toward her in their usual scary walk that usually made the kids run away. "Hey, it's the preacher's kid. I bet the preacher's kid is the worst kid of all." "That's what they say about preacher's children, you know," Butch taunted her. That's when Holly did something so unexpected that both of the bullies just froze in place, not knowing what to say. "Oh, hi, Butch." "Hi, Rocco. I was hoping to see you today." And she gave them the biggest smile either of them had ever seen. Her smile was so pretty and full of friendship and love that they were paralyzed. "Oh, I saw you had a Snickers bar in your pocket yesterday, Rocco," she said. We have a bunch of those, so I asked Mommy if I could bring you some, and she said yes. And she said you sounded like super nice boys, and you can come over to play video games at our church youth night this weekend if you want to. Then Holly put a candy bar in each boy's hand, and she hugged them both, and then ran off to class singing a happy song and just skipping. La 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 la. What just happened? Rocco said. That's when he could speak again. Butch didn't know, but he liked it. Then, when they recovered their senses, they saw what seemed to be the whole school staring at what just happened, and how a little blonde girl caused the meanest bullies in the school to stop in their places, and she hugged them, and she skipped away singing. The next day was more amazing. Instead of wandering the halls, pushing people's books out of their hands, pushing little girls down, Rocco and Butch went straight to Holly. And instead of those mean, smirky, ugly smiles that were meant to hurt her, they glowed as she talked to them. Cindy watched in amazement as Holly talked to them for several minutes during the lunch hour. And at the end, she hugged them again, and the two bullies went outside and didn't bully anybody. Not one for the rest of the day. But this day was Friday, so everyone was curious about what was going to happen on Monday. So you can imagine what the talk of the town was among the kids. Well, guess what? It's Monday. And it was so amazing. It was almost impossible for the kids and even the teachers to believe. Rocco and Butch showed up in regular clothes, not their bully clothes. And they were smiling and even seemed a little shy. Can you imagine their amazement? But when they saw Holly, they ran to her and they hugged her. Cindy saw this and thought she even saw Butch cry a little bit. The bell rang and they went to class. After class, she finally got a chance to talk to Holly. What did you do to Butch and Rocco, Holly? I love them, Holly answered happily. They are really very sweet. I will introduce you to them at lunch. Rocco is way funny. And she just giggled. The Bible says to love your enemies. And you know what amazing thing happens when you love your enemies, Cindy? What? Said Cindy. They stop being enemies. And then you don't have enemies anymore. That's what my daddy taught me and what he preaches every Sunday. And he does that because that is what Jesus taught. Holly continued to talk and she said, I invited Rocco and Butch to church and youth group. And Sunday night they accepted Jesus. And they are going to join our youth group. And instead of using their talents to hurt people, they are going to learn next summer. And just as Holly said, Rocco and Butch not only stopped being bullies, they became the most popular boys in school. In fact, no bullies could do anything in Cindy's school because Rocco and Butch knew all the bullies and wouldn't let them hurt anybody. And they began to start sharing about Jesus. How did you have the courage to love them, Holly? Cindy asked. It doesn't take courage, Cindy, Holly answered. It's what Jesus wants us all to do. So if you obey him and share his love with others, they will follow Jesus too. And before long, everybody will love God and will serve him. Wouldn't that be cool? And Cindy had to admit, she saw it work with Rocco and with Butch. So what Jesus taught about loving enemies proved to be a truly miraculous teaching that Holly showed everybody how to live out at their school that year. Let's remember. Let's remember to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Show them love. And if you show them enough love, then they too will love you back. Ephesians 4:29 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And then again in Luke 6:2-28. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. So let's remember, let's love everybody and tell everyone about God's love. But most of all, let's show everyone how to love as God does. That's the end of the story. And I pray you got something out of it. And remember, let's love everybody.